In the meantime, Democrats also flipping 7 governorships, including an upset in Wisconsin. Democrat Tony Evers beating out 2-time incumbent Scott Walker. Although so far, I want you to know he has not conceded defeat. Joining me now, Republican Congressman Sean Duffy of Wisconsin. Sean, I'm sure you've spoken with Governor Walker. What's the thinking right now with his camp?
Well, listen, I mean, it's still close, and we don't want to concede quite yet. But listen, we're down. And, what happened was Democrats had a big turnout in, Madison or Dane County. It's a progressive area. And in the northern part of the state, a very liberal area, the Democrats turned out. And in some of our more Republican areas, like the suburbs of Milwaukee, we didn't get the turnout we needed to blunt that. So, it was a close night, but it's a sad night if this turns out the way we think it may, that, Governor Walker loses.
Congressman, you just painted that was the picture in every state. The urban areas came out big for Democrats. Right. The rural areas came out big for Republicans. And it seems like right now the pendulum is the suburbs. And maybe the one thing we learned last night was that Republicans are beginning to be in trouble in the suburbs. Are you feeling that as well?
No, so Democrats are able to run a campaign saying we don't like the tone of Donald Trump. Now, we ran a campaign on issues like, look, I mean, we've talked for the last 10 years, if we could streamline regulation and lower taxes, the economy would grow and you'd have more money and more opportunity and a higher wage. And Democrats, couldn't run on that because they had no part of our great success. So it was a very nebulous message. Now, as they take control of the House, they're going to actually have to lead. And you're going to see the left-wing radical ideas that come from the leadership of Nancy Pelosi. If, by the way, I don't know if she'll be the speaker. I mean, if you have all these members of Congress who said, I'm not going to vote for Nancy Pelosi, and the first vote they take is a lie to their constituents, I don't think they're going to do it. So there's going to be some hog trading over there. But with that said, you're going to see single payer, you're going to see tax increases, you're going to see a liberal push that comes from a left-wing Democrat party in the House. Now, they won't be able to get that through. But, the suburbs and moms will go, hey, listen, does that agenda match up with where I think the country will go and should go? And I think the answer will be no, and we'll be able to win a lot of those seats back 2 years from today.
What about compromise? Is there any room for compromise? Nancy Pelosi was speaking just moments before we came on air, and she talked about perhaps infrastructure. She even said that conversation came up with her and President Trump. She also kind of, I guess, challenged President Trump and Republicans to show a sign of good faith against attorney generals with lawsuits against pre-existing conditions or some of the laws that affect that, retracting those lawsuits. Is it ball in President Trump's court right now? Is it in Nancy Pelosi's court? And can there be compromise?
Yeah, a sign of good faith, just like Nancy Pelosi showed Republicans as we took control of the House, the Senate, and the White House to work with us. Instead, she led the resist movement. With that said, we're better than that, and we're going to try to work with Nancy Pelosi. But you know what? Charles, let me take a step back. If you're talking about taxes, they don't agree with us there. Single-payer health care, we don't agree on that. But there is a lot of things we actually do work together on. And if we want to focus on those issues, I think we can be successful. But if Nancy's going to run off in a really progressive, collectivist, socialist path, we're not going to join that. We're going to push back and fight it. I mean, I'm on the Financial Services Committee, and Maxine Waters is going to be the chair of that committee. This is the plumbing of free enterprise, as you know well, Charles. I mean, so we have capital markets, banking, insurance, and we want people to get loans that can actually afford to pay the loan back. And
right. So
Maxine Waters is someone who cares not if you can pay the loan back.
To the Community Reinvestment Act, initially started by President Carter. Right. Supercharged, put on steroids by President Clinton. One of the key reasons we had the housing crisis in the first place, of course, it had to be facilitated by dumping that toxic debt off to Fannie and Freddie. But Maxine Waters has talked about that. She's talked about fairness. She's talked about communities of blacks and Hispanics having access to banking. Is there a way to find solutions there?
So we want them to have access to banking if you're qualified to get a loan. But I don't want people to get loans that aren't qualified just because they're a minority or they're an LGBTQ member or they're a woman. Or listen, capital should flow to the best place possible, and it shouldn't discriminate based on race. But you shouldn't have a leg up, based on race or sexual preference. And they're playing politics with regard to capital and to credit. And I think that's a mistake. and as you just mentioned, Charles, it leads to a disaster for the economy. We saw that in 2008. So
yeah, we certainly did.
You know, you even have Elizabeth Warren, who said, we should move banking into our post offices, where the government should run banks instead of the free market.
Before I let you go,
in those ideas, we're going to push back.
Duffy,
and if they keep being that progressive, again, it goes back to your question. The moms in suburban America are going to say that's not the direction the country should go, and I think we're going to have a successful year 2 years from now.
By the way, a lot of key progressives in the race and on the Democratic side lost last night. Real quick, less than a minute. Foxconn became an issue in your state. The huge tax breaks, perhaps them reneging on parts of the deal. Is there any regret on the part of Republicans for bringing in the Foxconn deal, which could potentially be an amazing deal, but apparently now it's become politicized?
No, I don't. That didn't play well in the northern part of the state because Foxconn is in the southeast. It wasn't an issue. Governor Walker did well in the rural north. So yeah, I think that was a big play. But I would just say this in regard to the House, Charles. I mean, we were swamped in money. I'm not complaining about it, but if you want to know maybe who can pick the next speaker, it'll be Michael Bloomberg, who spent $105 million on this race, on the House races. And we don't complain about it. That's fair. He can spend his money. But it's funny that Democrats complain when Republicans have money, have Republicans spend money for them. However, when Democrats get Michael Bloomberg or Steyer money, billionaires who spend tens of millions of dollars and buy the House for them, they're silent. They don't seem to care about that, which is hypocrisy is rich.
One thing is for sure, to your point, sir,
do well in Wisconsin and in the House.
One thing is sure, after Citizens United, there was a lot of complaining about big money pouring in, and you don't hear that anymore. Okay.
Not anymore, Charles, because it's their big money. They like it when it's theirs, but not when it comes our way.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We covered a lot. Appreciate it.